Hello, I'm Grimgrindle, and welcome back to Build Request. That's right, folks, I've not yet built every possible vehicle ever in this game, and I'm not dead yet, so we may as well keep this going. This request comes from Creative Name, and is the Forward Unto Dawn. I'm actually rather glad someone asked me to make the Forward Unto Dawn, because it is quite possibly my favourite ship in the UNSC fleet. And yes, that's right, I am saying that I prefer it over the Infinity, and the Spirit of Fire, and yes, even the Pillar of Autumn. And it may well seem that my love for this ship has indeed shone through, as I think that I'm going to call it early and right here and right now, and say thus far, this is maybe the best looking and most accurate replica I have ever made. But before I jump too far ahead of myself, for those of you who aren't aware, the Forward Unto Dawn is a ship from the Halo franchise belonging to the human faction, the UNSC, from a period in the franchise when Halo didn't suck. And to any of those punters out there wondering, is Grim still mad that they promised Halo Infinite would have split-screen co-op, only for them to sell the game with this promise, and then cancel any intention to follow through with this promise a year after the game was released? Yes, indeed, Grim is still mad about this. But I digress. Back to the task at hand, namely the Forward Unto Dawn, a UNSC ship from a game in the Halo franchise that had split-screen co-op at launch, as all Halo games should. When I started building this vehicle, I did so with the intention of keeping the functionality rather simple. It is, after all, a spaceship and not some walking mech or turning turret or any other of many various complex designs I've done. It's just going to have to utilize the old hover method, which I've explained before, and so being that I planned for it to be so straightforward, I could really immediately begin to focus on the aesthetics. With this in mind, I hammered out its silhouette quite quickly, started to add a little bit of details, painted it black, and had a test run of it, and lo and behold, it actually immediately already looked rather good. Maybe just a little bit chibi and a bit of a caricature, but nevertheless, it is recognizable as the Forward Unto Dawn, and I think if you showed it to anyone who's played the Halo games, they would recognize it immediately as a pretty good Forward Unto Dawn. But friends, we here at Grim and Grin don't aim for merely pretty good. And so I knuckled down and began to add further and further details. I expanded the back, concentrated further on, I don't know what to call it, the barrel, the front of the ship. In fact, since there's a MAC gun in there, I guess technically it is a barrel, just a really big one, but overall began adding details all over the ship as much as I could. There was, however, a problem with this. Every detail I added expanded the size and width of the ship, which wouldn't have been a problem were it not for the fact that I was already at its complete length limit. What this essentially meant is that over time, as I built the replica, it began to look like an extremely detailed, although comically truncated version of the Forward Unto Dawn. There was only really two ways I could fix this: either pare down all of the details and shrink it back to the shadow of the self that it once were, or alternatively, employ the size limit glitch. I went for the second option. I'm not going to bother explaining what the size limit glitch is or how it works here, as I've already done a tutorial on all of that before, which I'll put a link to in the description, but essentially it's a glitch that, as the name suggests, allows me to build the ship bigger than it should be able to go. Choosing to do this has two immediate ramifications. Firstly, now the vehicle doesn't look too short, and I'm able to get it as accurate as I wanted, and secondly, because the size limit glitch requires a part of the ship to be detached on entering the arena, it means that this vehicle cannot be used in multiplayer, which means if you're playing this on the Xbox with your friend, you cannot use it in split screen. Yes, the irony is not lost on me. The other obvious downside with making it larger is that I straight away ran into issues with the part limit. Luckily, I've ran into these problems before and knew to immediately start swapping out blocks for long ammo blocks and yada yada yada. You all know the drill if you played the game before. And so with that done and the vehicle painted and the two parts assembled in the arena, we finally have Forward Unto Dawn in Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. I must say, and indeed I did say, it really is probably my best looking replica I've made in the game so far. And if you would like a copy of it in your own save, as always, what will follow now is the layer by layer of it, so feel free to copy that over. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, I've actually disappeared from Twitter because it was getting in my way of becoming a weird and withdrawn hermit, but you can still find me over on the Channel Grim and Grin Discord. A link to that is in the description below. And so with all of that said and done, thanks for watching, and as always I have been and still am Grim Grindle.